Hello, I'm William Abel, and this is Common Sense. I'd like to thank GCD Network for helping sponsor this program. So I'm going to talk about a couple things today. I'm going to talk about Congress and their lack of doing anything and how it's going to actually hurt us all in the long run. But yet they're still going to run on the quote unquote wins that they're going to try and convince us that they got. I'm going to talk about the ICE arrest since Trump took office and how they're outpacing all of 2024 already. But I'm going to start out today kind of on a little rant. So in my district, in the 31st district in Texas, we have a woman, Valentina Gomez, that decided to move down to Texas for the sole purpose of trying to run for Congress. Now, she ran in Missouri for the Secretary of State last election and finished in sixth place. And while I encourage everybody to go out and run, please do your research. I'm going to go ahead and jump on a screen share. I'm going to bring up her actual site. And I'm going to explain the problems with this. So her platform relies on veterans and military. No taxes for veterans and soldiers. You put on the uniform and served America. You paid more than enough. Pro-life. Abortion is murder. I will end Planned Parenthood. Energy. Drill, baby, drill. Nuclear, safe and clean. Wind turbines are ugly and useless. End to all emissions testings. Betting in crypto. Make betting legal in Texas. Make Texas a capital of crypto. Complete privacy in crypto and betting. School choice. School choice is every Texan. School choice to every Texan. Investigate every school for groomers and pedophiles. Stock trading. Become the best stock trader in history and post trades on X. These politicians trade with privileged information, so why not us? Israel. I fully support Israel. Bomb those terrorists once and for all. Crime, all pedophiles and murderers get a bullet. Lock up the criminals, not the toothpaste. Illegals are criminals, so we'll be deporting them. Taxes. Abolish property taxes. Families with 2+ children don't pay taxes. IRS shouldn't track any of your purchases. Okay, so the problem with this is, first off, she wants to run for the U.S. House of Representatives, but yet half of the stuff she talks about are state issues. For example, make Texas the capital of crypto. Make betting legal in Texas. School choice to every Texan. Abolish property taxes. These are all state issues. And then you're going to abolish taxes for families with 2+ kids. Realistically, she is a sideshow. She's got a following on X because she goes out and she just says outlandish things. And I mean, I have faith that the people in my district are smart enough not to vote for this thing. But what really irritates me about the whole thing is you have a lot of people that take this seriously. And it's not a joke. It's not something just go ahead and get followers and likes and this and that on social media. And you got clowns like this. I mean, honestly, she may even be worse than AOC. And I never in my life thought I'd ever see anybody to that level. But she is level or worse than her because she's running for a position that she doesn't even know what the job entails. And it makes everybody, all these candidates going out running for these positions, look bad by having candidates like that. So by all means, I encourage everybody to run if that's something you so choose, but make sure you do your research and know what that job entails before you go ahead and jump out there. So that's my rant on that. I seen that the other day, and that just irritated the hell out of me, to say the least. So the next topic I'm going to get into is I just saw an article where it says Trump ICE unleashes on Biden admin after arrests surpass all of 2024 data, cooking the books. So the article goes on to say ICE arrests since Donald Trump took office are already outpacing arrests made in all of 2024, the agency said Wednesday, while saying the Biden administration has been cooking the books on its numbers. We have uncovered that the previous administration was cooking the books on ICE data, acting ICE Director Todd Lyons told reporters. They were purposely misleading the American people by categorizing individuals processed and released into the interior of the United States as ICE arrests. Comprehensive review was done internally here with ICE. We found tens of thousands of cases that were recorded as arrests when, in fact, those instances were illegal aliens that were simply processed and released into the American communities, he said. Senior officials said that the majority of the overall 431,000 arrests made in 2024 were pass-through arrests, meaning that ICE didn't take enforcement action against those foreign nationals, and they instead just passed through ICE before being released into the interior and were told to report to an ICE office. They stressed that none of the arrests made by ICE under the Trump administration have been pass-through arrests. What we are doing now is actual immigration enforcement, not an enforcement theater, an official said. As for interior arrests in 2024, ICE enforcement removal operations made 33,242 at-large arrests, only 29% of all ICE arrests. For comparison, officials say that ICE made 32,809 arrests from January 20th to March 10th, meaning they will surpass the 2024 numbers this week. Of those arrests, 14,111 were convicted criminals, and 9,980 have pending criminal charges. Over 1,150 were suspected gang members, 2.5 times the 483 arrested in the same period last year. The difference between these recent arrests, and those from last year is now we are actually taking enforcement actions on each and every illegal alien arrested, officials said. The Trump administration took office with the promise to launch a historic deportation command and reverse the Biden-era crisis at the southern border, quickly reverse Biden-era parole programs, surge military to the border, limited the use of asylum, and secured agreements for certain countries to take back their nationals. It also launched a number of raids in sanctuary cities that refused to cooperate with ICE enforcement. The administration says the efforts are already having an effect, with not only sharp increases in arrests, but also a significant drop in encounters at the southern border. Just this week, the Department of Homeland Security announced that it had replaced the controversial CBP One app with a CBP Home app that helps facilitate self-deportations. We are empowering ICE agents to do their jobs, Lyons said. After 4 years of not being allowed to effectively do their jobs, our agents and officers are excited to get to work and fulfill the agency's mission. So basically, in a nutshell, what that's saying is that just from January 20th until today, we pretty much had more ICE arrests and deportations than all of 2024 combined. And we know that the border was a disaster during the Biden administration. I've talked about it plenty of times, about the Chinese nationals coming across the border, the terrorists. You have people from every country on earth going to our southern border, coming to our country because they know it's a open path. You just walk right across. They might stop you, ask you a couple questions, and then release you. As I said a million times, we need to get rid of catch and release and go to catch and deport, and that seems to be what they're doing right now. So moving on, I'm going to talk about the executive orders Trump's passed so far, and the problem within why here, probably later this year, you're going to see all these members of Congress coming back and talking about how they did this and they did that, and why it's an actual lie. So in the executive orders, as we've seen before, when Trump was in office the first time, he had a bunch of executive orders. He never was able to get Congress to actually pass anything through to cement it into law. And we've seen Biden go ahead and reverse a lot of them orders. Well, when Trump took office again, he went off and signed an executive order, getting rid of all of the executive orders that Biden had passed. And then he started rolling out his own. Now, while the executive orders are great for the short term because it helps reduce the problem that we're having, kind of like with the border and a lot of other issues. But the problem comes in is when Congress doesn't do its job, and if they don't pass any legislation to go ahead and cement it into the books, the next president come in with a signature, grabbing a pen, signing an executive order, he can overdo all of them. But now you're going to have all these congressmen coming back to their districts, and they're going to be talking about, well, we went ahead and we fixed the border. Well, they haven't. Trump has put a short-term solution in place, and we were waiting for Congress to do their job. Historically, Congress will go ahead and do a bunch of grandstanding and everything around this time of year to go ahead and get the sound bites out there and go ahead and get, the gotcha moments and everything. When in reality, they should be working on the budget. We have 12 appropriation bills that should be passed to fund the government. Well, yeah, we haven't had 12 appropriation bills passed since the 90s. And what they do is they wait till the last minute. They say, oh, we're trying to get these bills, done up and passed. And then they're like, oh, yeah, we're not going to be able to get it done in time. We need to go ahead and throw a CR out there, continuing resolution. What that continuing resolution does is it kind of keeps everything at the current level of spending and kicks the can down the road. And you say, okay, well, we're going to do the CR, and then we're going to get these 12 appropriation bills done. And we're going to pass them. And they sit there and they have the political theater again, as they seems to be the only damn thing they really do good. And then towards the end of the year, you're like, oh, man, we got to hurry up and we ain't got time to finish these 12 appropriation bills, so we're just going to have to do one big bill, an omnibus bill, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with because that's what they do every year. And inside the omnibus bills, it's about 1,500 pages plus every year. And a lot of the members are given about maybe a day to go ahead and read through the 1,500 pages, go through everything, which a lot of them just don't have time to do, speaking realistically. So I'm not going to blame them for not being able to do it. But at the same time, if you don't have time to read a bill, you should not be voting on that bill. There's so much pork and stuff inside all of those bills. And like the congressman I'm running against, John Carter, he comes around and he talks about, well, we hold the power of the purse strings. Well, we have the power of oversight. Well, my question is if we have the power of the purse strings, if we have the power of oversight, then how is it we've been wasting all this money year after year after year after year? When I've said time and time again, Rand Paul puts out his Festivus list full of government wasteful spending. So he's a member of the Senate. How's it he has time to go ahead and look into that and find that and expose it? And then you have Elon Musk and Doge, who they go out and they get they were able to find all this wasteful spending all throughout the government. And they were able to find it in a matter of 4 weeks. I think we're on like week 5 or 6 now. But how are they able to find all of this? But we got congressmen and we got senators that have been up there for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and they act surprised. And now when that's exposed, they're like, oh, yeah, no, we need to cut this wasteful spending. It's like, well, you guys are the ones that control the spending. You guys go ahead and run around and talk about you control the purse strings. So why are you not going ahead and cutting funding? Or why are you not going ahead and finding out what they need the money for? Because they don't care. A lot of times they go ahead and they'll just vote it through because they know they're going to get something on the back end somewhere. They're getting something out of the deal. As long as the American people don't know about it, they don't care. But as I've said time and time again, there's been about 5 to 6 issues over the last 50 years that all politicians have run on whenever they run for re-election. That's abortion, whether you're for or against, gun control, the border, taxes, healthcare. So if you have every politician running on those 5 issues every 2 years, why has nothing ever been done about it? Well, I'll explain it to you. Because if you go ahead and you solve these problems, You can't run on them for re-election. So what they do instead is they say, man, we are so close. If I get one more term, we can get it done. I know we can get it done this time. I just need one more term and we can solve it. We can fix this problem. And they go ahead, they get reelected. They go back up to Washington, D.C. They say, oh, man, it just flew underneath the radar. We're so close, so I just need to be reelected again. And they do this continuously, week or year after year after year. And every time it's the same old story, which is one reason why I support term limits. Because if you put term limits in place, first off, if I have something I'm extremely passionate about, like the vaccine mandates and ending them once and for all, and then all of the security for the pharmaceutical companies that was put in place back in the 80s, then I got 8 years to do it. Or I've got, let's say, 10 years, 12 years, whatever it may end up being. So I'm going to fight for that, because if I truly want to do it, I've got a limited amount of time to get it done. And let's be realistic. If I don't get something done in the first 10 years I've been working on from the get-go up until year 10, realistically, I'm not going to get it done year 18, 20, 25, 30. It's time to step aside, let somebody else come in, take the reins, take what you built on, and go ahead and carry it forward. And maybe they have a different approach that will work better, that will get more support. And, so we can get some of this legislation through. But that's not what a lot of these members of Congress care about. What they care about is going ahead and they want the title, they want the money, they want the pension, they like the notoriety of it, they enjoy having the celebrity-like status. And it's time that we go ahead and we actually take our country back and we get people in office that actually want to do a job and not just sit there and twiddle their thumbs until re-election time comes up and then run out and act like you're a fighter and act like you're going to do something finally. I've seen bumps on logs that have done more than members of Congress we got today. So that's why it never gets done, though. Because if they solved any of these major problems where they know where the constituents stand on the issues, they'd have to actually show up into the district, talk to the constituents, and find out where they stand on the new issues before they could go ahead and formally take a stance on it one way or the other. And like I said, the only way we're going to change that is we got to go ahead and we got to have turnover in Congress, in both the House and inside the Senate. If we don't do that, we're going to keep seeing the same thing happen year after year after year. Spending bills. So that's pretty much my rant for tonight. Trying to think if there was anything else. Don't think there was really anything major, but one thing I will leave you, one note I'll leave you on, is something I've never heard any politician talk about, but it's a serious problem, especially here in Texas. I know in the summer of 23, we had a major drought, and we got a lot of agricultural land around us. And I know on the East Coast, they had an abundance of water. They had floods in areas during that same time period. Why don't we go ahead and put a national pipeline for water from the East Coast to the West Coast? Then what we can do is we have smaller pipes branching off and going to every state in a central location. Then from the central location, the state would be responsible for getting it to the different counties that need it. But that way we can go ahead and if a state's having drought problems, another state has an excess, we can go ahead and get some of that water from point A to point B, from the state that has too much to the state that needs it. And it's actually going to help control costs. And it's going to help the citizens or constituents of that state. It can be done. It wouldn't be a cheap endeavor. It'd probably be cheaper than what we spent on Ukraine, and we see what a waste that's been. But no one's even looked into it. At least as far as I know. If someone has, I'd like to know what happened with it and, how far it got, why it was stopped, and all that. But yeah, I think that'll pretty much do it for me tonight, at least. So with that said, if you'd like to go ahead and help support this program, if you enjoy what you see here, you can donate through Cash App at $Abel, ABEL, TX31. Once again, Cash App, it's $Abel, ABEL, TX31. So I'd like to wish everybody a good night. I'd like to thank GCD Network once again for helping sponsor his program. And with that being said, God bless the United States, God bless Texas, and God bless each and every one of you. Thank you and good night.